How's everybody doing today? Yay, yay, God. Well, we are looking at the point in time where spirit lights the fire. And how many of you have been feeling maybe out of sorts lately, or maybe anxious, or maybe feeling some changes going on with all the news in the world and all the changes in the world? And maybe we've been exhausted. Maybe we've been feeling tired or overwhelmed. Now, I don't even feel good saying those words. But I wanted to introduce those words because it is part of our consciousness, you see, if we allow it to come in. But maybe we have been feeling physically stuck, waiting for the world for the changes to happen. Anybody? Anybody? Possibly. Yeah, it's normal with what's going on. But what if I told you that's not the way that life is going to work moving forward? So for over the last couple decades, we have gotten used to giving a lot of attention to the external world. A lot of our time, a lot of our money, and a lot of our attention to the external world, right? And so I guess they call that capitalism. And the world's been moving and supportive, the external world, as so it seems. But we're going to look at today when spirit, the moment spirit lights that fire within you. And that's usually the time when we go inward. There's a little difference there. It's a time when we go inward. And today's talk is about moving into action. And sometimes our moving into action is going inward. And to reflect more and take that time to understand what that moving into action really means. And so today we're talking about moving into action. This is our next unity principle we're looking at over the last 4 weeks, or 3 weeks. We've talked about unity principle 1, God is my source. Unity principle 2, I am the I am. And that's where unity principle 3 is we are co-creators of our reality. This is our affirmation work. And so this name of the series is called Awakening the Divine Nature Within. And how do we do that? Well, we are given in unity. We're provided foundational spiritual principles that gives us the tools, regardless of your background, your religion, your no religion, or your spirituality. So it gives us a tried and true set of foundational principles to live by, especially in times of change. And so now this unity principle, move into action, we're going to talk about, is going to give us the grounding that we need in our inner world so that we can move out into action. And that's going to be individual to you on what that is. So I wanted to share with you all, I talked to a lot of people during the week, and one of the things that I hear quite a bit about is, you know, I'm saying all the right things, I believe in God, I know God is here, and I'm saying the right things, I'm saying the affirmations, I'm going in and I'm praying, and nothing's happening. Anybody feel that way? It's a normal way to feel sometimes. On part of the times when we're on the journey, we might go into that space. But one of the questions then I can come up with is, well, how is it that you feel? And how is it that you feel? Well, maybe you feel anxious or overwhelmed or unstable. And that's where we're going to look at. This teaching gives us that stability within. And we get the tools in Unity Principle 4, which is through prayer and meditation, I connect with God. And with Unity Principle 4, that's our stability, and it allows us to go in and connect with God more. And so when Spirit lights the fire, we as humans, we're all always making these decisions. Maybe we need to go out and get a job. Maybe we need to go have another relationship. Maybe we need to go move. Maybe we're going to go and help fix our health. Maybe we're looking for a new home or more money. All of us are looking for something, right? That's the external world. And so we look for the next event. We want to cause the next event for us to happen because that's moving us into action, right? But sometimes we might move a little fast with disappointment and say, oh gosh, the timing wasn't right, or why did that happen to me? Anybody ever have that happen? Oh, why did that happen to me? Oh, yes, I've got a story I'm going to tell you later today. And so we do know that moving into action can also mean going within. And within is going to bring the peace. And within is going to bring the happiness that we're looking for. You see, Spirit lit a fire to tell you it's time. It's time to do something. And so that stuck place sometimes we get into. Maybe there's too many things. They call that fragmentation, what's happening. There's too many things to go choose from. And that's what I'm finding even with the advent of the internet. It kind of opened up a whole nother world for anybody who's, age 35 and under that's been with the computers their whole lives. The world seems really vast with so many choices. And that can cause inner confusion and a lack of grounding within. So here we know these principles will give us that grounding within when we focus on the inner world first as the utmost important. And so maybe we move too fast and go out and did the thing, and we realized we weren't ready, and we didn't quite feel stabilized yet. Maybe you're thinking of that right now, what that is. And so that stabilization point is that, I've got this unity principle number 1 down pat. God is my source. I've got this unity principle 2. I am the I am. And I can co-create my reality with the thoughts held in mind. But moving into action, that prayer meditation, it's taking those prayers and putting them in your feet because they come with us. They go with us. They're not separated. It's not spirituality isn't a separate, I'm going to go to church, and then the rest of the week, we'll just leave those principles behind. No. Well, we get to actually practice this. And sometimes when we feel stuck or maybe triggered or we reacted instead of responding, sometimes we get to revisit the inner world. And that's okay. That's what this process is all about. We revisit the principles where we are. Remember, the universe meets you where you are. And we get to allow the universe to meet us where we are. And so as we do that, as we take time and go within, and more than ever in this world, with the fast pace of the world, more than ever, it is so important that we do so with a conscious awareness. And that consciousness with the external world destabilizing, we get to remember that our stabilization and our security and our safety is within us. It's within our being human. And there was a reason why they called us human beings. We're being human, but remember, we're spiritual beings having a human experience. Yeah, so we get to actually bring that stabilization within, and it is eminent right now that we do this and give safety, clarity, focus, love, and abundance, all power, and that's all power that we have within us. It isn't going to come from something exterior to us. Maybe it's trying the new thing. It's going to come from within. In Luke 17:20, it says, the kingdom of heaven is within you. The kingdom of heaven is within you. So anytime we might want to go out and we have an opportunity and do something, we get to go within to experience the heaven within. I was sharing this, I share this with a lot of people, but when we feel triggered by something that's out there, it's usually a place where we get to heal within ourselves. That's a moment in time. It's an opportunity. We get to go within and ask ourselves, our consciousness, why am I triggered by this? Well, you get to know more who you are when you figure out why you're triggered by it. Maybe it's something that you know that you are an ethical human being, and you don't understand why we see unethical things happening. So we get to go within. I started to tell you a story last week. Was anybody here last week? That I started a story of one of my awakenings, that in the great real estate recession in 2008, my income reduced by 2/3. And I had 3 teenagers at the time. And I was anxious, I was overwhelmed, and I was freaked out. It was an economy that just, and so I didn't know how I was going to make it. So I had called a financial advisor and wanted to pull out my IRA money, which took a long time for me to go within to do that. So I got that far with the story last week. So now nobody could find the financial advisor. My statements were coming in every month, so I had no reason to believe the money wasn't there. And what happened was I called the company that made the statements, and they said, oh, that fund is bankrupt. So that IRA was actually $0. And so what did I do? Again, then in 2008, at that time, I was going to the external world. And in that external world in 2008 with the financial, that was right around the same time that Bernie Madoff happened. Somebody made off with my money. Now, I would have been able to tell this story in 2008. I was pretty devastated because I did have mouths to feed, not just mine, and a house to pay for. And so that happened, and I got to go in and reflect. I got to go into my inner world, and I got to go and get to know my spirituality a little deeper. And I meditated more. I established a deeper practice because my direction, I had already mapped out the path. I had it all planned out. And you know what? I was a smart businesswoman, and I was ashamed. And I did not want anybody to know. Well, you know, the truth sets you free, right? But I share this story because of the process that I went through. I used these unity principles. I started to meditate more. I got up early at 5 a.m. and I started to meditate more. I went to extreme yoga classes, and I went back to school and to get my teaching degree at that time. And I took classes, and I also started to volunteer at the library. So what I did, remember that if you always do what you always done, then you'll always get what you always got. So I had to change my direction, because if I stayed in that direction of the sorrow and the overwhelm that I was feeling and thinking that that was going to be the answer, and it wasn't the answer like I thought it was. Like I had planned for a decade or two. That wasn't the answer. So the answer came from me shifting gears, and you know, in the right amount of time, I earned just enough money to get to do what I needed to do. And one of those things was hiring a lawyer, which I'll share that next week. But the part of this lesson was, it's about sometimes we do have to move into action, and the fire under my feet at that time was we have mouths to feed, we had bills to pay. And so, yes, it didn't make sense. Maybe it doesn't make sense if we go into our logical brain to go and volunteer when you need money. But I went and volunteered, and then what showed up after that? I opened a door. And they said, you know, the students really like you here. We got a grant. Would you like to teach? And we are opening up a teaching position. Took me down this path of teaching for the next 12 years. Yeah, and I got to run my business. So I'm sharing that story with you because it was not something that I had planned. I had planned a whole different thing. So it was a pathway where the external is not as reliable as the internal. The internal world is what took me there, is that internal world of that willingness, the will to make a shift. When I saw there was a shift in the economy, when I saw there was a shift in the external world and how it showed up for me, it was that willingness to shift into a new path. And I share that with you now because of the uncertainty in the world that we all experience. We may not know what the external world is going to look like, but we have the stabilization of our own internal world. And if we don't, we want to get it. And that's the conscious awareness. That's where we're going to be working consciously as we evolve into our new humans. Because the path that we're on with technology, the change in technology, it's changing all of our lives. So when we move into action and we hit the pavement running, sometimes we get knocked down, but we get back up again. There's a song in that. There's a song from the 90s that I Get Knocked Down. That was a great song, by the way. So this teaching is a transformation from the inside out. That's how we're going to deal with external changes. And I wanted to share with you that these processes, these principles, allow us to move from survival mode into sovereignty mode. They do. They really work. And so when we go through the unity principles, for me, and I want to share with all of you, they're not just something that we read off on Sundays. We get to live them. We get to live them. And in closing, the scripture I have is, in all your ways acknowledge God, and God shall direct your path. And your relationship with God is the highest priority than going out and stumbling and falling when we're not stable enough to do that. Proverbs 3:6. An affirmation I want to share with you all is, I walk in alignment with divine truth. I walk in alignment with divine truth. And another one is, my life reflects the presence of God within me. My life reflects the presence of God within me. And so it is. So let's say a closing prayer. Spirit, thank you. Thank you for helping me embody the truth that I know and guiding my steps, my words, my actions, so it all may work tandemly with the love and the compassion and the clarity in our hearts and in our minds. Allow my life to be a reflection of your presence, God. And so it is. And so it is. Yea, God. And God is good all the time.